So today we are going to start a little bit of research on some very important people related to our social studies unit um, titled the Civil Rights Movement. And so we're going to come into studying that in more detail after we start studying the Cold War. And so this is a preview of some things, but many of these individuals you've heard of before. And so the first step is you're going to choose one of these individuals to do a little bit of research on. And I'd encourage you maybe to find somebody that you don't know as much about, but that's up to you who you choose. Thurgood Marshall is really the first African-American Supreme Court justice, and so he did a lot with the legality of getting rights to others, and really he overcame a lot of discrimination to become one of the most important people in our in the United States government. And then you have Lyndon B. Johnson, who was a president during the time of the Civil Rights Movement that did a lot to further the cause of getting equal rights, and the Civil Rights Act that was signed related to a lot of the work that Lyndon B. Johnson put in to get that law enacted. Cesar Chavez was a migrant worker, where workers move from farm to farm depending on the farm season, and they work very hard and long hours. Most migrant workers were not treated fairly and equally, and so they were paid very poorly and just did not have many rights. And so Cesar Chavez did a lot to help out the rights of workers at that time. Rosa Parks, many of you know her story, how she refused to get up out of her seat on a bus, a city bus that was going, and it was segregated. And at the time, the segregated buses were just one of the many areas where segregation existed, especially in the South. And so Rosa Parks did a lot to prove a point that equal rights were important, and that really leading into what Martin Luther King Jr. did, which most of you know a lot of his accomplishments, using things like this bus boycott that Rosa Parks initiated, and different marches and different speeches that Martin Luther King Jr. gave to further the rights of African Americans. And so you are going to choose one of these individuals and answer this question. Who is he or she, and how did they contribute to the Civil Rights Movement? So the first step is to choose one of these individuals. And so looking at your resources, if you think back about the research we did before break, you're really going to have great resources if you look through Mayan and explore that. There's quite a few books about these individuals. And then Social Studies Weekly, specifically weeks 24, 25, and 26, have a lot of information on these different individuals. So whoever you choose, you're going to answer this. And so if you choose Thurgood Marshall, there's Pebble Go, there's Mayan, and then you're going to answer this question. Who was he, and how did he contribute to the Civil Rights Movement? You can get some background knowledge about their life a little bit, but really you're focusing on what they did to get the rights of others further in this time period of the Civil Rights Movement. So we're talking 1950s, 1960s. Lyndon B. Johnson was a president during this time that did a lot with getting laws enacted, the Civil Rights Act, that really led to more and more changes in our daily lives and trying to attempt to end segregation. Cesar Chavez, like we said, worked for the rights of migrant workers and farmers. And so if you choose him, you're going to explore the contributions he had. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., there's a lot of information on Pebble Go, Mayan, and Social Studies Weekly about each of these. And so what you're going to do is complete this assignment that's attached today, the informational research topic assignment. It's in It's Learning. I'll show you in a moment. Today there's 3 things you're going to do. You're going to pick the person that you're going to research. You're going to start researching today. by finding one resource, whether it's MyOn or Social Studies Weekly or perhaps BubbleGo. And then with that first resource, you're going to find 3 to 5 things that you learned from this resource and write that down. So as I look at your It's Learning page, and we go to the ELA section of It's Learning, you're going to have with writing, here you'll have the slides that I just presented in case you need to go back and look at some of this, and then you'll have your assignment. So once again, it shows you'll pick your person, you'll find a resource and start researching, and then you're going to list 3 to 5 things you learned. These are the slide numbers in your informational digital writing notebook that you're going to download today. These are the slide numbers that you focus on today. You don't need to do any other ones. There's stuff about graphic organizers and some other stuff, but I give you the clue here, MyOn and Social Studies Weekly, weeks 24 through 26. So when you click on this, it'll give you your writing assignment, and it'll ask you to do what I just asked you to do. Choose a person, find out some information, and fill out slides 1, 3, and then 10 and 11. So once you make yourself your own copy of this notebook, this is something we're going to be using this week and next week, and so don't get overwhelmed by all the slides. I'm going to take you step by step. In fact, right now, you're just going to focus on slides 1, 3, and 10 and 11. So if you look at slide 1 here, it shows you're going to add your topic, okay? So it might be the contributions of Cesar Chavez. That's your title. You just pick your person and list that there, and then you list your name. Done. That's slide 1. Then you'll skip slide 2. We'll do stuff with graphic organizers coming up shortly, but not today. Slide 3 just asks you to identify the source that you're using. You're only choosing one source today. Whether it's, if it's a MyOn book, you'll put MyOn and the title of the book and the author. If it's a Social Studies Weekly, you put Social Studies Weekly, week 24, and then the title of the article that you found information. Whatever it is, you're just filling out this first part of slide 3. What was the source that you researched? Then you'll skip down and go all the way, if you can see along the side, the slide numbers. You'll go to source 1. It's slide 10 is where you're going to add notes. There's some slides about quotes and some different things. Don't worry about any other slides besides slides 1, 3, and 10 and 11. Why 10 and 11? Here's slide 10, and then slide 11 is the same thing. It's just continued because you may need more than one slide to type your information. 3 to 5 facts today. So if you can fit 3 to 5 facts on this first one, then you don't have to use slide 11, but 10 and 11 are your overflow. Find some research, some important things about how they contributed to the civil rights movement, and a little bit of background knowledge on these people. Okay? So, MyOn, Social Studies Weekly, perhaps BubbleGo, Arc Bookshelf, we'll dig into those. But today I'll let you choose your person, your source, and do a little bit of research with 3 to 5 facts. Can't wait to see who you choose and where you find that information.